Hello my friends, my name is Tim Johnson. This video is for those of you out there who are struggling to remain sober for any length of time. I'm full of gratitude at the moment because I'm just coming up to a year's sobriety, and for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to change the way I felt. You know, from a child upwards really, I was full of worry and fear and felt lonely in a crowd, and as I got older I was full of restlessness and, as they say, restlessness, irritability and discontent. Even when I had everything, and I've had some great successes in my life, I was never happy, always wanting more and always feeling there was something missing, and I was the odd one out. And I used alcohol and drugs all of those years to change the way I felt, to fit in. For any excuse really, to commiserate when I was down, to celebrate, to give me confidence, to make me feel better, drown my sorrows, whatever, you know, whatever it was, there was always an excuse to drink and use drugs. Consequently, over the years, I've caused a massive amount of hurt and damage, both to myself, but more importantly to those I love. And struggled in and out. I've been rehab, and if you look back on the channel over the last 5-6 years, I've been documenting this journey. I've had long periods of sobriety. I mean, the last one was nearly 5 years, as you see from this channel. You know, I've done rehabs and I've done all sorts of stuff, and I've had psychologists, psychiatrists, hypnotherapists, counsellors, all along the way. Nothing ever worked for any period of time because I never lost that obsession that I could drink or use drugs like a normal person. Basically, I always wanted to, you know, there's that famous word moderation, which for an addict is ridiculous. It just doesn't exist, because it only takes one for me, one drink or one drug to ignite an obsession and just a craving and obsession for alcohol and drugs that just goes on until there's nothing left in front of me, you know, just destruction and chaos in my life. And that was the way it was for a lot of years. And even when I was sober, certainly over this last 5 years, and please have a look back on the channel. I tell my life story in full, in 4 parts on the channel if you wanted to have a look at it. But this is just a quick one really to tell you what's different this time, what has made the difference for me this time, why it feels, I don't know, why I've got some peace and sort of serenity this time, and I'm not clinging on by my fingertips. Because even if I look back over the last 5 years, I never really lost this obsession that one day I could drink again or use a drug again to make myself feel better, you know, just on moderation, just for one day or a couple of days, or just have 1 or 2, or it's ridiculous. Because when that happened at the end of that 5 years, and I document this relapse on the channel, it nearly killed me. And that's a fact that when you fall off the wagon keeps rolling along. So basically, it gets worse every single time. It's a progressive situation, a progressive illness, if you like. And it nearly killed me this time. But it wasn't reaching rock bottom that made the difference this time for me, if I analyse it. Because I've had loads of rock bottoms in my life. If I look back, there's been carnage all the way through it. And sometimes some rock bottoms have been worse than others, but it never stopped me. You know, even when things were at their very, very worst, and I didn't think I could drop any further down, I still started again. It didn't stop me. So what stopped me this time? What stopped me this time, really, I'll be totally honest with you, was I suddenly found, I asked for help first of all. That's the most important thing of all. In the past, I've tried to do it on my own ego. You know, I can do that. I can make myself better. I'm strong enough to get through addiction. I can beat my opiate addiction. I can beat my alcohol addiction. You know, and for a period of time, you can do that via the useful tools of sort of exercise and diet and all of this sort of stuff I was doing and searching for stuff to make me feel better. But I just got addicted to all that because it didn't solve the problem. Because it's not an alcohol or a drug problem, it's a problem in there. You know, as with most addicts, that's what you've got to sort out. And that's what you've got to watch all the time, your thinking and your thoughts. because it'll drag you down a dark hole. You know, certainly things like anger and fear and worry and regret and self-esteem and all of these things, you know, will drag you down a rabbit hole. So how do you deal with that? Well, first of all, you become willing to ask for help and you drop the ego. It'll drop all that bullshit and get rid of it. Drop the ego, ask for help. It's really brave to ask for help. The bravest, the most courageous thing I ever did. I went into the rooms of AA. That was my choice. Something I've resisted for years and years and years. I'd been in before when I was in rehab, but I'd resisted it. The greatest thing I've ever done in my life. It saved my life. I'm not saying that's your path that you should take, but what I'm saying is to make a difference, find the willingness and the open-mindedness to make the change first. Recognize you've got a problem. Recognize that you can't drink in moderation. Recognize that you're powerless against that first drink or drug. You recognize all those things and ask for help. You're on the way, basically. All these things I didn't do before. So I went to AA. Your route might be a different route. It might be groups online. It might, as I've said many times, it might be friends, family. But ideally, they must have been through it before. Talk to a fellow alcoholic. Talk to a fellow addict. Talk to someone who's suffered from addictions or issues around alcohol and drugs. Because that's where you'll get the healing and that's where you'll get the learning, as I do every time I go into the rooms and I give back and give my service back, which is also massive for my self-esteem, which is also different this time, because it makes me think, you know, I'm not such a bad fella after all, you know, and just realize what's important. And another thing that's very different this time is that I'm taking it one day at a time, because I've realized it's all I can do. I've surrendered to that fact, because I've tried so many times just to cling on, and always my mind was in regret and in the past, or worry in the future and imagination in the future. And all of this, you know, thinking, oh, I can never stay sober for this long. But all I think about now is staying sober and happy and peaceful in the day. And I deal with every issue as it comes. But as these issues come up and I recognize, I do a little self-inventory at the end of the night and ask myself, you know, did I anger too quickly? Am I holding on to anger? Am I feeling this? Am I feeling that? And I check in, and always I can do better. I do my best every day, one day at a time. And one day at a time, I don't put a drink and a drug in my mouth. And those days build up and you get stronger and stronger and stronger. But the net I have around me of support now, the fellowship, is what's truly important. And they will catch me if I fall. And that feeling is sublime. And the learning and the healing that you get in the rooms is sublime. And as I say, you can find that in other places as well. I'm not just saying that's the only way, but it's the way that saved my life and saved many millions of other lives as well, to be fair. For me, it's been the only route out of the darkness of addiction. And I just feel blessed. And it says in the promises, you know, you will know the meaning of serenity. And I'm beginning to know the meaning of serenity. And that's something I never thought I would ever find. You have to work at it every single day. It's not just given to you on a plate. You don't just get this. You work on yourself every day. And I still use the diet and the exercise and the other tools I've got in my arsenal. The meditation, the prayer, whatever, you know, handing over control. That's the biggest thing for me. Letting go of control and putting it out there and saying, well, you know, that's out of my control, out of my hands. I can just do this one day at a time. Worry about the things I have in my control, just my thoughts and my actions. And talk regularly, go to meetings regularly, unload regularly. Because if you do that, it takes the pressure valve off. And you'll find that peace and serenity you've been searching for years. In my case, 35, 40 years, you know. I only wish I'd found it sooner, but then that's regret. And I don't feel regret. I just live in the present day, you know, and that's where I want to be. Hope that's been of some use to you. Carpe diem. Seize the day today. Much love to you all. Good luck and stay strong. Bye-bye.